According to the CEO of this company, which keep in mind, he is overly optimistic. He's been this way in the past. He says right now they have 5 targeted acquisitions, and 2 of these acquisitions are $250 million companies. He says there's a 75% chance that they acquire these companies, and if they do, that will add $500 million in revenue. They did around $180 million in revenue for fiscal year 2022. He says without any acquisitions being completed at all, he still thinks the company can do around $400 million in total revenue for fiscal year 2023. He says with these 2 acquisitions, that will add $500 million plus in total revenue. There's some very big words coming from the CEO who has had some issues in the past. We have a lot to talk about. They appointed George B. Holmes as a new CEO, taking over David Massey's position. I was actually really pleased and confident with this decision because George B. Holmes had a lot of experience running small cap companies, actually ran a few of NASDAQ listed companies. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have him leave the company as well as the president of the company as well. This really did not look good for the company. There really wasn't much said about this in the previous interviews. David Massey is the current CEO again. He really didn't have much to say about why these people left other than they were costing them a lot of money. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a lot of updates with this company. What do I think of these short and medium and long-term price targets for the stock price? As of right now, the stock price is trading just over 3 cents, and I will be honest, I'm actually still up because I did average down whenever this one dipped all the way to 2 cents. But I will be honest, dilution is coming. But there is a lot of news as well. It looks like they did around $180 million in revenue for fiscal year 2022, which is a lot for a profitable company trading at 3 cents. I'm not gonna lie. Q3 of fiscal year 2022, they did $57 million in revenue, according to the interview on the NASDAQ floor.
2022 is not final yet, but it's about $180 million.
There he's basically confirming that they did around $180 million in revenue for fiscal year 2022. This is also confirming that they are going to be doing around $30 million in total revenue for Q4, which is way down from the previous quarter. For the last few quarters, they have had positive net income. For Q3, they had $6.5 million in net income. For Q2, they had $18.8 million in net income, doing $66 million in total revenue that quarter. And for Q1, they had a net profit of $5.6 million, doing $26 million in revenue. Because I think Q4 is not going to look good at all. I think the stock price might actually dip when these financials do come out for Q4, because Q3 we did see over $57 million in total revenue. But I will be honest with you guys, their $25 million secured line of credit is not going to be enough to fund all their operations and the acquisitions that they are planning. A lack of funding, and they've had a lot of investments that need working on. And they have a lot of investments and acquisitions going on right now. Had a lot of management issues. They've appointed a new CEO, other positions, and then they've had these people resign. There's a lot of stock-based compensation that also went on with this new management as well, which will be added to their expenses. So obviously their operating expenses will be going up for Q4, it looks like. Also, I think their revenue will be going way down compared to the revenue they did in Q3. Q4, all in all, is not going to look that good, and we could see a dip in the stock price because of this, and they are going to have to dilute shares on the open market, it looks like, unless they come up with some other term, unless they come up with another way of funding. I do think the stock price will dip in the short term because of this. It really depends how much they will be diluting, but if they dilute a lot of shares, obviously people are going to panic. This is going to drop in the short term. Now, I do think this one could spike because of, the over optimism of David Massey in the interview. I think this one could have a chance of spiking, but when dilution comes, this one is going to drop. We're waiting for a lot of acquisitions, and this could take months and months. So short term, I am not that bullish on this stock. I'm actually kind of bearish on this stock. I think this one will dip depending on what kind of news and catalysts they come out and how long it takes to do this. But I think medium to long term, if these acquisitions do go through, there's not that much known about these target companies, so I'm not going to say too much about them. But this one has a lot of potential in the medium to long term. The CEO actually thinks they can be cash flow positive by mid-April. I think this will be more like August or September, or maybe even later in the year. And I will be honest, the dilution, they did raise the AS, the authorized shares. I don't know why it hasn't updated for me yet or right now, but Dilution is coming because they have to fund. They have around 5 different acquisitions in their pipeline. So we have a lot of optimism from David Massey, but this is how he acts. Every year we've seen him do this. But I want to know more about these target acquisitions. I want to see these on paper. I want to see these be officially completed, and I want to see more information on these target acquisitions before I talk about them. These are some very big potential revenue producing companies. Like I said, 250 million. Two of these are $250 million companies. In his own words, will we actually see this happen and be implemented on paper? I do not know. Dilution is coming. We'll have to see how much this is. Q4 will not be looking good. Q1 may not be looking that good either, but midway through the year, we'll have to see how this company recovers and if these acquisitions actually do go through. But still a lot of potential, a lot of risk as well, because a lot of stuff has been happening with this company internally. I'm not going to talk about their lawsuit they're going through, but there's obviously a lot of companies have lawsuits. They have debt. Obviously they have a lot of liabilities as well. These could go up and spike up as they acquire these other acquisitions. We'll have to see what kind of liabilities these bring as well, but also they will be bringing revenue too. So we'll have to see how that goes. But with all the optimism from David Massey, this one might actually go up next week. We'll just have to see. But when dilution hits, obviously this one's going to go down, maybe even to the 1 to 2 cent range. We'll just have to see how much dilution actually takes place and how long it takes for them to actually announce more about these target acquisitions they have in their pipeline. If and when these acquisitions are actually completed is what I'm looking at. And if this happens sooner than later, this will be really good for the stock price. Who knows how high it will shoot up, but obviously we'll just have to wait and see when that happens. Guys, make sure you like the video, put notifications on, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow.